Hi, I'm Dr. Henry Robertson from Louisiana College.
It's very nice to meet you. I'm Shannon Brewer, and welcome to my home. It's 2029 Albert Street.
Well, fantastic. I understand you're going to be on the Garden District Neighborhood Foundation Holiday Tour of Homes.
I am.
This is fantastic. Well, tell me, why do you love this home where you live?
I have just always loved historic areas, historic homes. It feels like home to me.
Well, you have a beautiful home here, and Shannon and I have done some research on this property here, and I discovered that one of the first owners was Dr. Leon Pert, who was a dentist here in Alexandria. This home was probably built in the 1920s, and he had an office downtown. What are some of the features that are especially distinctive to you here?
The fireplace. I love the brick fireplace and the hardwood floors, the sound of feet on the hardwood floors, the high ceilings, and the thing that really made me fall in love with the house was the big front porch.
Oh, yeah.
We spend all our time on the front porch. So just a true southern home.
The fireplace that you like so much is definitely an arts and craftsman style fireplace. You know, in the early 1900s there was a movement to get back to more natural features in homes like brick and hardwood floors and art and craftsman style that was much simpler than the gaudy Victorian, and this home reflects a lot of that with the hardwood floors, the natural features of the brick, but then also the porches and the large tall windows for light. Natural light was very important to that movement. So tell us a little bit about how you acquired the home. Do you know any of the early owners?
I don't know really any of the history of the home, but I was in the market for a new home, and I knew that I wanted to be in the Garden District. I've always loved old homes, and I was sitting on T.W. Thompson's front porch, and I happened to look down, and it was a beautiful April afternoon, at all of the front porches and the ceiling fans and the brick roads, and just thought, this is my street. This is my street. This is where I need to be.
Well, Shannon and I did some other research. I want to share with you what I found. One of the owners in 1930 was Alphonse V. Geoffrion, and Geoffrion had actually graduated from LSU with a BS in chemical engineering in 1905, and he was a chemical scientist, but a superintendent of a sugar mill here in Rapides Parish, and so he was a professional that was involved in that expansion of the sugarcane industry into South Rapides Parish, and during the mid part of the 20th century he was sought after not only here in Rapides Parish but also around Louisiana and Latin America. Geoffrion apparently was so sought after that he won all sorts of awards. He later became a cotton planter, cattleman, and planter himself with land. But one of the neat things is that in addition to traveling around the country and around really all of Latin America, he had a family here that he loved. And one of the great events at this house was in 1947, his daughter got married at St. James Episcopal Church, just right down the street. He was a communicant there for quite a number of years. He'd been born in Avoyelles Parish, but became Episcopalian. And in 1947, Hope Flower was her name. She got married at the church right down the street, and they had the reception right here. So you can imagine in this room here, they had tons of people who would arrive in 1947 for her wedding, and Hope would actually own this house into the 1960s. So you're talking about a family, the Geoffrions, that owned this house for about 30 years, beginning in the late 20s all the way up to maybe the 1960s. And so it's neat to think of how the sugarcane industry was thriving here in Rapides Parish, and one of the superintendents of the mill who was sought after around Louisiana and Latin America went out this door every day, down to the sugar mill, to the factory there. I found mainly information from the census record. Like if you look here, it says that he was married, he was the head of the household. he owned this home, and in 1930 it was valued at $12,000, which
Yeah.
is kind of neat. And you turn it over here, and it answers a lot of questions. Like, he actually didn't attend a school here. His father was from Kentucky. His mother was from Louisiana. He was a superintendent of a factory. Then there's the names of everyone who lived here. And of course, his middle name was Bush. And so he had a son named Bush D. Joffrion, who was actually born here, more than likely, because he was less than a year old in 1930. And you had Hope, there she is. She was 5 years old, and she was going to later get married at this home. And he was 43 with his wife Clara, who was 31. She lived here during that census year. They actually, it lists up here, they didn't have a radio. Some homes would have radios, some would not. But the U.S. Census doesn't indicate that he had that here. So he was really involved in one of those major industries, but was, again, a professional, but tied to that agricultural world that still is very important to Rapides Parish.
I have a sunroom that runs down the whole side of this house, and it's all windows, so I love all the natural light. There is a little apartment in the back that's just really cute with this great attic. And this attic, I had to put stairs in it to get up there.
Right.
There are 3 roofs on this house.
Wow.
So that's why I was curious what the house looked like and how it changed, because there's one roof, and then built on top of it, it's a larger roof. And I know 3 for sure. There may be the roof on the very top roof, may be the 4th roof. But it was like they just would add on. So, I'm just curious, what the house looked like and how it changed over the years.
Right. It probably was not nearly as large in the 1920s, 1930s, but then, by the 50s, they may have added, some of the sunrooms. That was a very popular thing to do, especially by the 1950s. And, once you got a location and property that you liked, it was much easier to add on to it. So that's not unusual for homes in the Garden District to have, numerous renovations, because when you're talking about a home almost 100 years old now, you're going to have families that live in it and add to it and make it your own. Well, one thing that I noticed about your home, Shannon, that I really admire is how you have a formal dining area and you have a kitchen and a swinging door between the two. That is really a historic feature that you don't see in homes today at all. But the idea was there was a separation of spaces. You had a work area that was a kitchen, and then you had a dining room. And so all the activity would go on in the kitchen, and then someone would bring out the food to the dining room. You needed a door that would swing because they were carrying those heavy trays and things. And so it was designed so you could see if someone was coming or going, but not so much where you would be in the kitchen as well. They definitely had an idea of separation of spaces. The dining room was a formal area, and you had the back area that was much more of a dining area. You said you had an apartment out back there. That may well have been for a servant who lived back there, and they would live back there and they would work at the house. And it was not uncommon to have that in the homes in the Garden District or that era of especially across the South. But I really admire that dining room door. I mean, you just don't find that anywhere where it swings like that. And so many people take those out, but
I've
it
had
is neat.
several people say, "Were you going to bust it out and open up the kitchen?" No, I love the swinging door,
Right.
the French doors. I like the separation of space, actually.
Yeah. Well, Shannon, this is fantastic. Thank you for talking with me, and we're really looking forward to seeing your home on the Garden District Neighborhood Foundation Holiday Tour of Homes on the 16th. I hope everyone comes out and enjoys this beautiful example of architecture in the Garden District.
Thank you so much.
Yes.